Fast X is the 10th Fast and the Furious film, and this time around, the Fast family has to tend to a new foe, being Jason Momoa, as he tries to seek revenge on Dom and company because in a previous film, they killed his father. So let's talk about Fast X. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and today I'll be talking about Fast X, which is the 10th installment to the franchise if you're following it in chronological order. And for me personally, I think Fast X is by far the worst film in the franchise. As you can see on my display here, you can probably tell that I'm a pretty big fan of the Fast and the Furious films. For me, I've enjoyed pretty much every movie in the Fast and the Furious franchise up until about The Fate of the Furious, which is the 8th installment. And really after that, I think they overstayed their welcome, and Fast X is a perfect example of that. So let's dive into the review for Fast X. Fast X is another generic action movie plot, but this time it's much worse than just generic. Jason Momoa is introduced as the franchise's newest bad guy, and Fast X explains that in the beginning, previously in Fast 5, Jason Momoa was the son of the villain in the 5th installment. When the father is killed by Dom and his family, Jason Momoa then now wants to seek revenge in Fast X. So this story makes absolutely no sense. It's filled with unlikable characters, and it's an absolute bore to get through. And so let's start with how the story is constructed first. So basically, this story just doesn't make any sense. From start to finish, there's so much going on at every point in this movie. Characters can be at one place, then instantly teleported in another place. It just has no sense of realization and has no sense of actually constructing a story from start to finish. It just doesn't make any sense. This movie has a mixed bag of characters. You have characters that you already know and love from the previous films, and you have new characters that appear for the first time. Again, I'm going to say that again. In the 10th film, you have new characters that appear for the first time. This is the 10th movie and you get new characters, but that is beyond me. However, the sell point is Jason Momoa being the new baddie. And for me, I violently hated Jason Momoa in every way possible. For me, I think this is the worst character Jason Momoa has ever played. This is the worst performance Jason Momoa has ever given. And every single time Jason Momoa was on screen, I instantly became irritated. I instantly became annoyed. And I just disliked everything they did with this character. From how he acted, from what his costume design was, and his overall senses as a villain to this movie. It didn't work. I hated everything. And every time Jason Momoa appeared on screen, I wanted Dominic Toretto to drive his car out of the screen and run me over because I couldn't endure the pain anymore. You also have other new characters like Brie Larson, who I don't think she did a terrible job. I just think there was no need to have her character in this movie whatsoever. You remove her from the film, and the film stays the exact same. And the other characters that you know and love, like Tyrese Gibson and Ludacris and Dominic Toretto, all these guys that you know and like, they are still in this movie and they're still likable, but there's not enough of them. There's too much Jason Momoa for me to endure until I just can't do it. What makes the Fast and the Furious franchise is the over-the-top action. So does Fast X have a good entertainment value? Sort of. This movie has a bunch of action sequences that range from car chases, car races, and fistfights. And when you're talking about anything that deals with a car, for the most part, the car is not practical. It is entirely CGI, so it looks so silly and so fake. And for the most part, when we're dealing with these cars, they're doing so many unrealistic things that just make absolutely no sense. And it makes for a completely chaotic and idiotic sequence that you just can't endure, and it's just too much to consume at one time. And when you have fist fights, they're just so generic, they're just poorly done, and I just have no true interest in revisiting any of those fist fights, and after they happen, I instantly forgot them. When I watched this movie, I counted about 8 action sequences in a movie to where that should be 100% action. You don't get enough action to draw out the horrendous story that is displayed and the horrendous characters that are displayed. And overall, even though you can find some entertainment with what they do with the action sequences in Fast X, it's still unbearable and hard to get through. Overall, Fast X is an absolutely terrible film. Now, going into this movie, I knew that this movie was going to be over the top, very silly, very stupid, but I didn't expect to have a story that was absolutely dreadful, characters I absolutely violently hated, and action sequences that were instantly forgettable, and I'm never going to remember them. This movie does not feel like any of the other films in the franchise, and I was absolutely tortured while I watched this movie. However, I don't think it's extremely bad or the worst movie I've ever seen. It was just an absolute horrible time in the theater. So you probably can already guess, what am I going to give Fast X? I'm going to give Fast X a thumbs down. Should you go out and see Fast X? My recommendation to you is absolutely not. Save your money. Don't consume this dumpster fire. However, if you've already seen every single movie in the Fast and the Furious franchise, I do think you might as well complete your watch of all of the movies. However, I do recommend that you just wait until the 11th movie comes out. I'm not going to spoil anything in the 10th movie. Just trust me on this. Wait until the 11th movie comes out to watch the 10th one. Other than that, I don't recommend you go out to the theater. I also don't recommend you watch this movie on streaming or alternative ways. The last thing I wanted to do is I wanted to lastly roast this movie with one more thing. So Dominic Toretto has a child in this film, and if you remember, he had a kid in the 8th installment. I'm going to show you right now Dominic Toretto and his love interest on the screen now. I'm also going to show you the kid that they created that is in Fast X.
Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right.
Right.
This makes no sense. But other than that, don't see this movie whatsoever. There you have it. That's my review for Fast X. If you've seen Fast X, let me know your opinions down below in the comments. If you haven't seen Fast X, let me know what your favorite Fast and the Furious movie is. That'll be it for me today. If you watch this video, I do really appreciate it. And if you like what I said, make sure you click the like button. And if you want to see more awesome reviews like this, make sure you're subscribed so I can see you next time. Till then, peace.